Lawmakers in Texas are debating a controversial bill that critics say would allow adoption agencies to discriminate against non-Christian and LGBT couples.
The bill is called the Freedom to Serve Children Act. If passed, it would apply to state-funded or private adoption agencies, allowing them to deny services to individuals based on a provider's, quote, sincerely held religious beliefs.
Criminal defense attorney Troy Slaten is in Los Angeles. He's been following this issue very closely. Troy, so exactly explain to us, how does this law work?
Well, the legislature's intent, their stated intent for this law, is that it provides protection against lawsuits for religious organizations that are involved in the adoption and foster care services of children from being sued based on discrimination for religious or sexual or national origin.
So I want to make sure I have this right. Any agency in the state of Texas could potentially turn away any couple they don't like just by saying that it goes against their religious beliefs?
If they have a closely held religious belief and they want to have the child placed, let's say it's a Catholic adoption service agency, and they want to place their children with Catholic families, they can do that under this law without fear of being sued for religious discrimination.
I think this is really interesting that this is coming up. I used to live in Florida, and we saw laws like this for a number of years that were able to be held up, now overturned, especially after gay couples are able to get married. How would this bill hold up now in court, now that we've had such a change, even within marriage and some other policies in terms of religious beliefs in that way?
We're seeing a trend among Republican-controlled legislatures and governors throughout the country to put in place protections for religious organizations. I think that this is a preemptive move if the state of Texas is required to pass some sort of law or there is a mandate from the United States Supreme Court that provides that state agencies cannot discriminate based on race, religion, and the like with regard to adoption placement. What the purpose and what the Supreme Court has always held is that states are allowed to do what's in the best interests of the child. And in Texas, 25% of the adoption and foster care programs are run by religious organizations. They receive state funding. So what they're really looking to do here is not have what happened in California and other states that prohibit this exact type of protection for religious organizations. And what happened in those states, like right here where I'm talking to you from in California, religious organizations dropped out of the market. And so that just left state-run organizations. So the purpose here is to keep more organizations available for the children.
That's a fascinating point.
Yeah, especially in California. You talk about how this is sort of a growing trend, especially when you look at Republican-held state legislatures. You look at somewhere like South Dakota. How does that compare? They're trying to do something similar, I understand. How does that compare to what's going on in Texas?
South Dakota did the exact same thing. They passed a bill back in March. It was signed by the governor, and it provides that you can't discriminate against somebody purely because of race or religion unless it's a sincerely held religious belief and you're a religious organization. It can apply to contraceptive services as well. So what they're saying is, if you've got a 17-year-old that's in your foster care program, you're a religious organization, you're not required to provide abortive or contraceptive services, and you're also not required to place a child in a situation that conflicts with your sincerely held religious beliefs. This is absolutely going to be challenged. The ACLU has announced that they're opposed to this, and we're going to see this exact issue go up to the Supreme Court.
Fascinating take. It's an interesting piece of legislation making its way through many parts of the country. Troy Slaten, thank you for joining us, Troy.
Thanks for having me.